to call this meeting to order, and at this time I would like to give the opening to Councillor Damian Penn.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. With the new year comes new resolutions. Some people step on the scale and decide it's time to make physical or dietary changes. Others may choose to try to cut out damaging habits such as smoking or excessive drinking. And others open up their credit card bills after the Christmas season and make resolutions on their spending and finances. This last resolution is an especially important one that many households made, and something I am passionate about, as many individuals right now are dealing with uncertainties when it comes to finances, income, and future retirement plans. The federal government has been operating without a budget now for well over a year, and before a new budget can be voted on and approved, it will likely be closer to 2 years that our nation will be operating without a financial roadmap. The money printing presses are working overtime right now in our nation's capital, but spending money before the ink dries is not only sustainable, it is foolish. The greatest public budget in all of Canada is still without a plan, and as one of the wealthiest men of all time, Warren Buffett, says, "A fool with a plan can beat a genius without a plan." In contrast, as a municipality, we are mandated by law to pass a balanced budget each year. The process begins in July, a full 9 months before the budget is finalized, where we discuss projects that we as council would like to undertake in the coming year. We also look further into the future of what infrastructure investments will be required in the next 5, 10, and sometimes even further years. We are intentional with every dollar received from our residents, and every penny of every dollar is accounted for to result in a balanced net zero budget. Then in November, we go over a more finalized budget, where we look at the impacts the projects and purchases will have on the budget and give further guidance to administration on what we as council would like to see done with projects, as well as how to incorporate all of these decisions into our desired mill rate. This process shows that we are deliberately spending every dollar our citizens have entrusted us with. We are required to only carry a debt load of what is sustainable over the long term, which shows wisdom and accountability to the future of our city and its citizens. Going more into personal finances, during these difficult times, and even before, when discussing finances with friends, I have heard countless times, "I'm living paycheck to paycheck. I cannot afford to budget." To that I say, you cannot afford not to budget. It is not just wise, it is biblical and talked about in the book of Matthew. A master leaves his property entrusted to his servants. The master gives 3 servants different amounts of talents depending on their ability. When he returns, he sees the harvest his servants have sowed. And to the servants that used wisdom with finances, the master says, "You have been faithful with a little, I will set you over much." But to the servant that did not use wisdom, he chastises, "You wicked and slothful servant. For to everyone who has will be more be given, and he will have an abundance. But from the one who has not, even what he has will be taken away." A budget is a roadmap of telling your money where to go before you get it. Jack Lew, the former U.S. Secretary of the Treasury, said, "The budget is not just a collection of numbers, but an expression of our values and aspirations." Although I may not agree entirely with the budget he proceeded to table, there is wisdom in his words. Individually, we need the instrument that is a budget to reach our goals, values, and aspirations. Open up an individual's bank statements, and you will quickly be able to see what someone values. Is it eating out regularly? Spending in excess on clothing? Giving to charities? Saving for their future? Money is a reflection of the time and effort you have invested into work to aid in creating wealth, and is your tool to use to invest in your values and aspirations. You have to be intentional with your funds, just as municipalities are, or you will always wonder where your funds went. We as a city will be releasing our finalized budget in the coming weeks, and it will be balanced, not only because we are mandated to by the province, but because habits need to become second nature in your daily lives. As an individual, myself, with a traditionally Mennonite last name, I have more than once been called a cheap Mennonite. On the face of it, that may be received as an insult, but I take that as a token of pride, of showing that I am intentional with my money, just as I am with the funds of our businesses that we deal with, as well as the funds that I deal with as a city councillor. Budgeting has become second nature to myself, and I challenge anyone that is struggling with finances to start being more intentional with their funds and spending habits, regardless of how many zeros are in your bank account. As Dave Ramsey, one of my favorite financial individuals, says, you must gain control of your money, or the lack of it will always control you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council.
Thank you, Councillor Painter. Council, we have the agenda in front of us. Looking for a motion to adopt. Councillor Hebert, second by Councillor Siemens. Any comments?
No comments.
Nothing further? Call for the question. All those in favor? That is carried. Council, we have the minutes of February 2nd, 2021, regular council meeting. They start on page 1. We've all had the chance to review. Looking for a motion to approve. Councillor Swagstra, second by Councillor Penner. Any comments?
Nope.
Anything further? Call for the question. All those in favor? That is carried. Is there any business arising from the minutes? Okay, seeing none. Council, before we go to the public hearing, we will go to 8A. That is reports and recommendation of city manager. That was referring to bylaw 2132, the local improvement 2002. We must take care of this first, then we can go into the public hearing. So, Mr. Workington, could you please introduce this file?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. This bylaw 2132 was a bylaw that council initiated and gave second reading to back in January of 2020. And it dealt with the local improvement plan to build the Clearspring Greens pathway. Earlier this year, the first meeting of January of 2021, City Council passed a resolution that the existing local improvement project for the Clearspring Greens sidewalk plan as it was at the time be cancelled. And just to clean this matter up and as a housekeeping matter, in order for the bylaw to be properly disposed of as per council's resolution, the recommendation is that it be presented for third reading at this time and that council defeat bylaw 2132 at third reading. Then City Council can proceed to have the public hearing for the new proposed plan for the Clearspring Green sidewalk.
Thank you, Mr. Workington. Okay, Council, you've heard Mr. Workington, and we must, if we want to go forward with the new local improvement, we must first defeat this local improvement. Council, how would you like to proceed? Councillor Siemens?
Motion to defeat the bylaw, 2132.
Okay. Do we have a seconder, Councillor Hebert? Go ahead, Councillor Siemens.
As stated, we have a new plan for the Clearspring sidewalk before us, and we need to dispose of this bylaw 2132 and the local improvement 2020-02 for the pathway construction that was initiated a year ago.
Anything further?
Nothing further.
Anything further of council? Anything in closing, Councillor Siemens? Okay. We'll call for the question. All those in favor? All those opposed? That is carried. Okay, Council, we will go to 6A. This is the public hearing for bylaw 2168, local improvement 2021-03, the Clearspring Greens pathway. At this point, we will close the council meeting, open the public hearing. Mr. Workington, could you please introduce this file?
Mr. Mayor and members of council, this is a proposed local improvement plan, plan number 2021-03. It's for Clearspring Greens pathway construction. Purpose of the local improvement plan is to construct approximately 850 lineal meters of asphalt pathway along Park Road East between Carlton Drive and the Steinbach Aquatic Center and from Ramsgate to Fairway Close. The proposed local improvement project is estimated to cost approximately $650,000 and is to be financed by a borrowing of $233,450. with the amount of the borrowing to be repaid over a 5-year period and to be levied to the benefiting taxpayers within the Clearspring Greens Pathway Local Improvement District that is shown in the council's agenda package. The potential taxpayers are to be charged 50% of the total cost of the project to a maximum of $1,610 per parcel. All notices as required to be sent under the Municipal Act have been issued. There have been, at time of preparing the package, 7 pieces of correspondence that they received with respect to the advertising of the local improvement plan, with 1 additional item being received earlier today, which was a copy of which was placed in councillors' bins. As was mentioned, this is a initiation of a new plan for the particular project with the parameters and the portion to be paid by the benefiting landowners being modified since last year. Recommendation from administration is that City Council this bylaw first and second reading, subject to any new information that may be provided at the public hearing.
Thank you, Mr. Warkentine. Is there anyone here with questions, concerns, or objections to this file? Okay. Okay, take the podium, state your name and address for the record,
Hi,
and then you can go ahead.
Hi, my name is Timo Bullard. I live in on 29 Slater Place. So it was just a year ago, I think it was in January of last year that we were here. And the question was why it's being brought up again. I understand that the parcel was bought and now it's just sitting empty, but I thought it was a clear objection from the taxpayers last time that it was way too expensive and why it's being brought up again.
Well, the price has been brought down considerably. I believe the price was over $4,000 per parcel last time, and now we brought it down to $1,610, which would be exactly what you would pay if you would be buying a lot today for sidewalks or any sort like transportation due to active transportation. So that is why we're reintroducing it to the same level you would pay if your neighborhood would be designed and the development agreement would have a sidewalk, which your neighborhood was never designed for a sidewalk, or did the development agreement have that? So the homeowners in this area have never paid that. So now you're paying exactly what a house or like a house anywhere else, a different development in the community, you're paying exactly the same as them. So it's very equitable that way.
Okay. If I'm, was it $4,000? I remember, I think it was like $2,500. It was $2,500 last time.
Well, it was 42 was the original. Then we amended it 2 weeks later to 28-ish, in that range, something like that. And now through just talking back and forth, and Councillor Penner had been working it and crunching the numbers, and she came up with this, that it would be very fair if we would cap it at the same price that you would pay if you bought a lot today anywhere else in our community.
Okay. Just curious, so how many people are okay with it or object to it? Last time we had a packed house here, so.
Yes, including yours, we have 7 objections this time.
Okay.
Yeah. We've had 8 correspondents so far, 1 in favor and 7 against.
Okay. Now I thought I'd come out and actually talk in person, so it'd be instead of over the phone, whatever. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, we appreciate that. Thank you for showing and coming.
Okay. I rest my case.
Okay, thank you. So your objection stands.
Well, if it said it was only 7 people that object to it, like personally, I got no problem paying that.
Okay.
But I would withdraw my objection then.
You would, or you're not?
I would, like,
You are withdrawing your objection?
yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, we'll ask one more time. Is there anyone else wanting to object or have questions or any concerns to this file? I'll ask one more time. Is there anyone here with objections or questions or concerns for this file? Okay, seeing none, we will now close the public hearing, open the council meeting. Council, how would you like to proceed? Councillor Penner.
Motion to approve.
Do we have a seconder? Councillor Siemens. Go ahead, Councillor Penner.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I am very pleased that the Clearspring Green sidewalk will finally be able to proceed. While the initial proposal had 78 objections, this new plan has only received 6 objections, which shows how far the city and the neighborhood have come in working together and coming to an agreement that we both can support. This newly approved plan will see each neighborhood parcel pay for 50% of the asphalt path, up to a maximum of $1,610, which is what the sidewalk levy fee is on new parcels in 2021. This is a fee that was not factored in the price of the lots of Clearspring Greens when it was developed, as the intent of the developer was to have a rural profile in that area. However, times have changed, and with the heavy traffic both on Park Road East and Old Tom Road, it has become an issue of safety and quality of life. As a city, we are committed to promoting a safe and affordable community for all residents of Steinbach. The Clearspring Greens path is a part of that commitment, and this new plan reflects that. If this motion is approved, I'm hopeful the path can be put in this summer. Thank you.
Councillor Siemens, anything further?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I think this is important. This has been many years in the process. Previous councils have tried to put a pathway to Clearspring Greens at the request of the Clearspring Greens residents. And so finally we've got, this council now was able to secure a commitment by the golf course to allow us to cross the property. We can, and I think it is a good plan. And it is important. It is important that we connect them to our pathways in the city as well. That just on the election campaign trail the last 2 years ago in 2018, there was a young man on McFarland who explained to me that the only way he could take his bike to and ride the pump track in the park was for his mom to take him there in the van. And so now he'll be able to ride his bike there before he can ride the track. So it's there's a lot of different stories from the families that are growing up there, and we need to connect them to our community. And this, I think it is very important that we go through with this project. As far as the costs go, that is the same cost as anybody else pays into our capital development fund to fund pathways and sidewalks, so that puts them on an equal basis there. I think this is important. I think this is a correct thing to do.
Thank you. Anything further of council? Councillor Blakestra.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm happy to support the plan. I think this is a win-win situation for both the city and the residents of Clearspring Green, and I commend Councillor Penner for coming up with this version of the plan here. I'm glad we have a plan that can get majority support, and I really hope that we are able to build it this summer.
Thank you. Anything further? Councillor Hebert.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I too, when I did the campaigning in that area, heard from so many people they wanted to see the sidewalk, and it's about safety. I also want to thank Councillor Penner for initiating this, and I think it's going to be a good build. Thank you.
Anything further? Go ahead, Councillor Hebert.
I think council is clear on my position. I've voiced it several times that to me there's a difference between a pathway leading to a subdivision and the sidewalks within a subdivision. Having said that, this project is long overdue. The timing is everything. You know, I think we've been very fortunate. We haven't had accidents. This council is focused on safety of our citizens first, and so I'm very happy that Councillor Penner brought this new bylaw forward. I think this is the proper way to proceed. From what councillors have mentioned and what I've heard on the street, people are in favor of this subdivision or of this sidewalk, and so I'm happy to see it go forward, and that our children and the other people using those sidewalks will be safe.
Any further? Anything in closing?
Nothing further, thank you.
Well, council, first off, Councillor Penner, I want to thank you for all the legwork you've done on this. You worked very hard, and you've emailed many times and met with the residents, the leaders of that neighborhood to work and then present this to us as council. Council, everyone around this table, I'm so proud of you. Because many councils, as Councillor Siemens has said, many councils have tried to implement a pathway here. This is the council that got it done. And I'm so proud. I think this is, like, for all the reasons everyone said, for safety, connecting everyone to, like, connecting this area to the rest of our city, it's great. This is, like Councillor Schweitzer said, if I can say these words, it's a win-win for everyone. It's a win-win for our community. It's a win-win for the neighborhood. So at this time, I'd like to call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Mr. Workington, there's no reason why we can't go right into second reading?
Council may proceed.
Okay, we will proceed right into second reading. Looking for a motion to approve. Councillor Siemens, second by Councillor Hebert. Any comments?
Nothing further.
Any further of council? Closing? Well, council, it's all been said. Call for the question. All those in favor? Again, that is carried. Mr. Warden, just a question. So this will go to now the municipal board for approval on our debenture, and then it'll come back for third reading?
That's correct. However, because there are still 6 objections remaining, there is an additional process that letters of notification will be issued. Then the municipal board will receive the file and all the related information within 30 days of that notification being sent. And then at that time, the municipal board will determine a process to follow thereafter.
Thank you. Okay, council, we'll go to 6B. This is variance V 2021-01. It's referring to 236 Park Road West. At this time, we will close the council meeting, open the public hearing, and I will ask Mr. Workington to please introduce this file.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, this application for variance file V-2021-01 for Unit 9 at 236 Park Road West. The owner of the property is New Stater Holdings, Inc. The applicant for the variance is KCB, Inc. Purpose of the variance application is to allow a 5-foot rear yard setback, whereas City of Steinbach zoning bylaw 2100 requires a minimum of 10 feet in the M1 light industrial zone. The notices as required under the Planning Act have been issued. There is no written correspondence on the file. The proposed plan and parcel sketch is provided for council's information on page 28. The recommendation from administration is that council approve the application for variance.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Workington. Is the applicant here today? If you'd like to speak, take the podium, state your name and your address, and then continue.
Okay, my name is Alex Cube. I'm the owner of KCB Construction. So we Purchase or put an offer to purchase in from Walden Newstead on 2 properties, 2 lots, lot 9 and lot number 10. It's shown on the drawing there. And we like to build an office building there and a few shops. We like to apply for a variance application to reduce the rear setback from 10 feet to 5 feet. Reason for that is just to get a little bit more room in the front, and just being a 10-foot strip, the way we're planning property it's not very feasible to maintain the 10 feet in the back. Do you guys have any questions?
Yes, I will. Are there any questions of council? Okay. Doesn't look like we have any questions. You take your seat. Is there anyone here with questions, comments, objections to this file? No? Okay. I will just ask one more time, so it's on record. Is there anyone here with questions, comments, or objections to this file? Okay, seeing none, we will close the public hearing, open the council meeting. Council, how would you like to proceed? Councillor Swagstra.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll make the motion that we approve the variance.
Do we have a seconder? Councillor Penner. Go ahead, Councillor Swagstra.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think it's a straightforward application and a simple enough request that the applicant has put forward. That in order to construct their building, they want to have a little bit more space. And in this case here, staff are indicating no concerns, and particularly because this backs on to public reserves, that gives an additional buffer zone there. There's no one who's raising any objections. Staff are fine with it. The applicant has given a solid reason for why they're doing it. I think we should approve.
Anything further, Councillor Penner?
Nothing further.
Anything further of council? Anything in closing? Okay, we'll call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Thank you. Okay, council, we'll go to number 9, administration, 9A, the accounts payable, and they're in the back of the book. Looking for a motion to approve.
Motion approved.
Councillor Siemens, second by Councillor Hebert. Any comments?
No, sir.
Anything further?
No comment.
Then we'll call for the question. All those in favor? That is carried. Council, 9B, we have the building permits for January 21. It starts on page 35. Council, how would you like to proceed? Councillor Penner?
Motion to approve?
Do we have a seconder? Councillor Penner? Go ahead, Councillor Penner.
Yeah, I would just like to make a few comments here. I have to say that I am pleasantly surprised by our significant building permit numbers. This past year has been so unpredictable, so to have $4.1 million in permits in January is very encouraging. In fact, if my memory serves me correctly, this total is more than we had in the entire first quarter last year, so this is quite significant. I noticed the majority of the permits are for residential dwelling units, including a large multifamily development on Brighton Lane. This tells me that Steinbach continues to be a desirable place for people to live, and I'm optimistic that a strong year is ahead of us.
Anything further?
Nothing further.
Anything further of council? Anything in closing, Councillor Penner?
Nothing further.
Yes, Council, I'm really encouraged by this month too. As Councillor Penner said, when you look at the, one highlight, okay, the multifamily, $2.5 million for multifamily on Brighton Lane. I agree with Councillor Penner. That just shows that developers want to invest in our city. They are seeing a strong economy. They're seeing benefits in developing and building homes in our community, and that is really, really exciting. I'd like to call for the question. All those in favor? That is carried. Council, 9C, we got business licenses. Starts on page 36, and I think it goes till page 38. And at the end of 38, there is a resolution to approve the business licenses. Looking for a motion. Councillor Siemens, second by Councillor Hebert. Any comments?
No comments.
Anything further of council? Okay, call for the question. All those in favor? That is carried. Council, on page 39, we have excavator licenses. Oh, looks like we've got at least 5 excavators that want to work in our city. Looking for a motion to approve. Councillor Swagstra, second by
Motion to approve.
Councillor. Yeah. Second by Councillor Hebert. Go ahead, Councillor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As I look at this here, if memory serves me right, this is more excavator licenses than we had in January of last year, so this is really exciting to see this happen within our city. So let's keep it up.
Anything further, Councillor Hebert?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think I'll add something that earlier somebody made a comment that maybe these excavators could start on our new recreational center. So let's look forward to that.
Anything further of council? Anything in closing? Okay, call for the question. All those in favor? That is carried. We have 9E. This is local improvement 2020-01. This is bylaw 2167. We'll be doing third reading for this. It starts on page 40. Mr. Workney, could you please introduce this file?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, this is the debt issue bylaw related to the project that was completed in the city's capital works program last year, the Quaker Avenue reconstruction. The municipal board has now approved the debenture bylaw and schedule, and it is now back in council's hands to give third reading, and it is so recommended to do so.
Thank you, Mr. Workentine. Council, how would you like to proceed? Councillor Penner?
Motion to approve?
Do we have a seconder? Councillor Swagstra? Go ahead, Councillor Penner.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. It's important to note that the original project was authorized to borrow $2.21 million, and the actual debt funding is coming in at 1.77, significantly under budget, which again is a testament of the tendering process and strategy that the city of Steinbach goes through of getting really good value for the projects that we undertake for infrastructure. And it's especially good to note that it's at a 1.53% interest rate, which is a phenomenal rate to that we're borrowing at. So that's why we'll move to put this motion forward.
Anything further, Council?
Covered it.
Anything further of council? Anything closing?
Nothing further.
Call for the question. All those in favor? That is carried. We have 9F, the subdivision 4451-2020-8368. This is an amendment to 95 Industrial Road. It starts on page 46. And Mr. Workney, could you please introduce this file?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, this application for subdivision was actually just considered by council at the last council meeting. Subsequent to council's approval of that application, the applicant decided to amend the subdivision application file because community and regional planning had not yet concluded this file. It can be amended. Therefore, it is being brought back to council. The purpose of the amendment is to create one additional lot. At the time of last meeting, there were a total of 3 lots being proposed. The application is now proposing a total of 4 lots be created under the subdivision application as is seen on page 53 of your agenda package. Again, administration has no concerns and would recommend that the application be approved subject to a development agreement.
Thank you, Mr. Workentine. Council, how would you like to proceed? Councillor Swagstra?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I make the motion to approve the amended subdivision file.
Do we have a seconder? Councillor Hebert? Go ahead, Councillor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As was explained, this is a subdivision that we've previously approved. However, this has been amended to allow for the creation of 1 additional lot. I think it's reasonable to allow this to go ahead, and there's no concerns that staff have raised, so we should proceed.
Thank you. Anything further, Councillor Hebert?
Mr. Mayor, subdivision, and as this subdivision, obviously driven by market. There's a market for industrial lots in Steinbach and obviously for this size. Having said that, I note that lot number 1 is L-shaped, therefore a large piece of the property is behind number 2. This is a little concerning for me, even if there's ever a further subdivision to that property, then there will be no access to it. So obviously that's going to be a concern of later councillors if that ever comes up. But having said that, I'm happy to agree to this because, like I said, it's market driven, and the push of council is to make sure that our industrial lots are not only bought, but they're also that industry goes on them and motivates our economy. So I'm happy to approve this.
Thank you. Is there anything further of council? Anything in closing?
No.
Okay, council, call for the question. All those in favor? And that is carried. Okay, council, any questions of council? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to correspondence and petitions. We have a correspondence from Ronald McDonald House Charities of Manitoba. There's a donation request. Council, should we take this as information at this time? Okay, so we will. There's no other business. Council looking for a motion to adjourn. Councillor Siemens, second by Councillor Penner. Any comments? Okay, call for the question. All those in favor? That is carried. Okay, our next regular meeting will be Tuesday, March 2nd, 2021 at 7:30. Thank you. Next week?
Yes.